All right, good afternoon, everybody.
A little trouble.
Yeah.
This is the East Long Meadow High School School Building Committee meeting. It's August 5th, 3:04, and we're beginning our meeting, so welcome. Thank you for taking a little bit of time out of a beautiful summer day. Our first agenda item is looking and approving the minutes from June 26th. They're at your places if you're in the room, and they were attached to the calendar invitation if you're online. So if you have a chance to.
Motion to approve.
Okay, so Christensen has a motion approved. Do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, we have 3 seconds.
Leave it on the phone.
I'll take Mr. Page.
There you
All right, so
Give it to Ryan.
Mr. Christen. Ryan's not here. Sent you? Mr. Page, second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll do a quick roll call vote. I'm a yes. Mr. Page?
Yes.
Ms. Hill?
yes.
Yes. Mr. Penny?
Yes.
Ms. Labar?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Christensen?
Yes.
Ms. Collins?
Yes.
Okay, the yeses have it. And it's approved. I don't know, Jamie, if we have anybody else in the audience? As we're going to public participation?
Marissa's Wisconsin.
Okay. All right, now's the time for public participation. We did not know if we might have a visit from DeFranco. Is at our last meeting in June. Mr. DeFranco obviously addressed the building committee and was continuing his endeavor to possibly raise funding for the potential design for turf on the softball field and the baseball field. But I believe our deadline is coming up for that funding
Yeah.
raised.
Talked in that June, Gordon, about hopefully getting an update at this meeting, but then our line in the sand was, I believe, September in terms of when we would need that information before it starts to really hinder the project. So maybe there'll be another opportunity at the September SBC meeting when we schedule that. Yeah.
But if I understood correctly, we would need 2 million plus
That seems to be what the,
available basically by the September meeting.
if I understood the committee correctly, that was to be fully funded outside of the building project. So that would be, yeah, we provided some early estimate numbers, Gordon. I think we need to fine tune exactly what would be happening in there, but that $2 million is pretty good for a rough number.
Okay, all right. Any other, we don't have anybody in the room, and I don't think we have anybody online, so we'll move to the next agenda item, which is the owner project manager update. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Gordon. So just quickly off the top, I wanted to just touch on MSBA update. There's nothing extraordinary or exciting to update you guys on, but everything is going smooth in the MSBA world. So we're up to date on our monthly reporting to them, as well as our requests for reimbursement. We work, Pam and Laura have been great to help us out with that each month to submit, make sure that the town is receiving reimbursements along the ride here.
Did you see the one email from MSB about the stored material?
Good to know they're actually looking. Yeah. So they're, and Gordon, you probably get copied on it, as does Pam. So I just shoot a note over. So during their audit, they just noticed that some of the backup for stored material on one of the requisitions from Fontaine was out of whack. So not abnormal. That kind of stuff happens, but it will hold up their audit. So we'll just quickly get that information over to them, make sure that they're satisfied with the backup documentation and keep that process moving. So for what we've needed them for, they've been fantastic to work with. Just from a paperwork standpoint, we did submit the PFA bid amendment. Tom, you probably recall getting that email back earlier this year, January, I think, something like that. So it was much anticipated by our side. Turnaround, I think we even had a deadline on when we had to get it back to them. And so we've been asking them for updates all along since, and they said that they likely will get back to us by the end of the year. So from February until then. It's not affecting anything right now. Once that goes through, it's at the end of the calendar year. Yeah. So once again, it's not affecting anything. The reimbursements are all going fine. So ultimately that's just something that needs to be processed between now and the end of the project. But that just kind of shows you the length of some of the turnarounds we get on that end. And then we've been having every other month we have a site visit with them. They were last out here in June. So sat down with them, went through kind of our standard updates and then took them through the school. So they're very impressed and appreciative of Fontaine's team for helping out with that. And we are scheduling our next one end of August, beginning of September. So that's it on MSBA's side. And then I just had one other update for you folks. Last week we met with Gordon, Frank, Pam, Greg, Jamie, forgive me if Ryan was there as well from the district, along with Fontaine's team and Skanska. And we talked about the schedule for, first of all, the construction schedule for what needs to take place once the staff and students get out of here next summer. But then more so kind of the moving pieces and what needs to be planned out between the district and the construction team in order for everything to work out the way we need it to. So basically the demolition schedule, I'm sure Mark will walk through it later on here. But we can show that. Yeah, please do. So what we talked about was, obviously the schedule for when Fontaine can actually start knocking down the building is dependent on everybody being out of there. We understand that, but we did talk about maybe some opportunity for designating sections of the building for some hazardous material abatement prior to the school letting out next summer. Could use certain breaks for that, or if certain areas of the building are just not in use, we could maybe tackle that. So Frank was obviously important for that, and there's much more game plan that needs to go into what can actually feasibly be taken on by the construction team without affecting the educational atmosphere here. But we just got the ball rolling with some of those conversations, just talking about timing and different
Adrenaline flowing.
Yeah. That was it. Yeah, that's what I figured. Really, that was it. Sorry, go ahead, Frank.
I just had a thought, and I don't know if it would help at all. But swimming obviously ends in February, as does our programming. We do have rec that uses it in the spring, but we could probably work around that piece where potentially I could turn that pool over to you in March. It was just a thought I had after the meeting. I don't know if that would help with timelines, or even if it's not March, maybe it's April, maybe it's something like that. As we navigate that with the rec department to see what works. But I'll just be honest, I'll be surprised. I won't say surprised, but there's a possibility we may not even make it through this winter with some of the issues we've continued to have there. So yeah.
For those who weren't in the meeting last week, and this was the inaugural meeting, as been mentioned. So we didn't know about the color-coded map here, which is very nice. Definitely got our attention. The areas that you see in pink are areas that Fontaine would like to begin the abatement process and possibly even demolition process prior to the end of the school year. So those areas, if you can't see it on the screens here, our central office, LCAT, student support services. And then as you continue through, you pick up 2 classrooms, our tech ed classroom and our graphics classroom. And then you swing towards the small gym, and large gym is on there. That might be a little bit more challenging. And then the pool, as Mr. Page is talking about.
Yep.
So we're starting, it sounds like some intensive planning to figure out how we move a number of things off-site beginning somewhere in mid-April, I would think.
Yep.
So where would you go?
That's what the intensive planning is going to be about, John.
Guys are gonna make some trailer space for them,
Yeah. No, we do have preliminary space for the whole annex right now. The
Yeah.
2 classrooms, are we gonna be able to swing those out in April?
It's all their files too that they're worried about.
Classrooms here.
On the annex.
Right.
April was earlier than we had talked. We had talked Memorial Day at the last meeting.
That's right.
April would be tough.
We were April.
Yes.
Guys,
Okay.
the classes were Memorial Day.
What about,
You can swing into the next week. You can get to the pool earlier.
what about those locker rooms with the pool? When you give the pool up, can you give up those locker rooms?
The pool locker room.
Yep.
We could probably make that piece work.
And then the
As
small,
long as you're still giving me the large gym and the main locker rooms.
So we got to look at parameters, right? I mean, when we talk about what works for you, Frank, we can go from there, because what we need to do is look at what is the abatement in there?
Yes.
And if that abatement's only gonna take us 3 days with 10 guys, it doesn't make sense,
Doesn't make
right?
sense.
Because I'll bring in two crews at night and we'll be done and not disrupt you. But if I can't get enough to make it worthwhile for the whole process to work, because we're trying to gain days.
My thought with the pool is it's such a big space and there's probably stuff in that mechanical room that you might be able to get ahead of as well.
Right, I could go down and look this at and we could bag some
Yeah,
stuff,
so-
and that's one guy per day. It's not really,
Versus-
it's because it's right, because it's
I get a-
downstairs, yeah.
Yeah, I get a locker room. Might not be the bang for the buck, but I thought a pool area might be, depending on what the needs are of that space.
So we need to look, I mean, I guess the reason we started this process was for you to look at it, see what's feasible for us, and then you say, yes, I can have the pink, or I can have this and that, and you can't have this, and then we can go back, we'll look at the abatement, we'll look, see what's there, and we'll try to figure that out there. As far as a demo, we really probably wouldn't be able to do a demo, because there's probably too much disconnect to do, and that might.
Yeah, I get that.
I wouldn't, and then with that,
Drainage of that.
but at least, yeah, we could go drain the pool, we could.
Take that piece offline. It honestly would save us money when we're not using it in April because it's so.
Able to heat it much of the winter anyway, so.
Yeah, just there's been continuing things this summer where we've had to maintain it. So
Yeah.
if we could take it offline, it could also save the town a little bit of money from April through May, you know?
what about the small gym in April? We can make it work. So,
I could potentially make that work.
Mark,
Whether
whether
it's
it's
good-
the annex, the small gym, the pool, those 2 locker rooms, is that
I
enough?
mean, well, that's, you gotta write that down, and then we'll go back, we'll look
Okay.
at the reports, right, because I know there's paper under the.
Pencil right now, Mark, just pencil.
Yeah. Black ink.
Yeah.
So, and what we can do, and then look at your things, and if we can do more, the more we can get done, that means on day one, when we disconnect the power, I can already start that, because the crew's already moving ahead. And we'll have 2 crews doing the abatement, going through the green and across, right?
This
But
would be my
the-
only concern about taking that space offline so early. Because I assume once it's offline, like you guys have full autonomy. That's
But what we would do is a double containment wall around the pink, right?
Our staff-
Separate everything else.
our staff
Your
no longer
No one
buy.
be longer going.
we also have to clear that area and there's a
But you wanted to keep, you'd
of
want.
equipment in that space that we'd have to have removed before we.
Can we get some storage containers here? Is that,
Do a lot of things.
And that's just enough.
Different things, we
If we're talking that early, we'd have to start that.
if we drop storage containers right out of that side of that area,
could look,
and then
Salvaging that material, you have to remove it. If you're
It's
installing salvage.
all the weight room equipment.
Instead.
Some
we're not salvaging that stuff.
if you're not salvaging anything, it stays and we'll take
Leave
care of
it,
it.
yeah.
Don't move
some of
it.
the weight stuff other schools might be interested in. I
Yeah,
don't,
it might be, we have to still go and
Lock that.
I think there's a lot of
Plan that,
yes.
I think
there's-
we have enough, hopefully.
attached to this.
That back garage is where we store all of our outdoor PE equipment. So when they run classes
Yep.
outside, that's where all that stuff is stored. So we'd have to go through all that. There's athletic equipment back there. So we have to get
Start doing that to go through it, and then whatever is saving, let's drop a container or 2 right outside the door.
The knee containers.
Yeah.
It's a good segue back.
Absolutely. And that's part of the global, sorry, Frank, you can go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I started to think about this stuff after we got offline of maybe transitioning some of the stuff off earlier, but there's logistical things we're just gonna have to work together on.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think we'll need to know, this is part of the conversation last week as well. And Greg will reach out to you and make sure we find a time that makes sense for you. But we're talking about going through with you, Frank Gordon, Tom, if you wanted to be part of the process as well. Really, we need to inventory kind of everything that's in here, because in some capacity, it's either going to be, going elsewhere for district reuse, or somebody's going to buy it off you, or we need to know what's being taken out of here at the end of the day. So I think starting that process would be us really literally just walking through the building. We need to get a feeling of what is being inventoried, what the kind of common general items are. We will, do all the legwork of creating the spreadsheet and a summary of what the typical items are and all of that. We need to have that information for that component, but then for the bigger component, which is we're looking to hire a moving company to help us navigate all of this. We need to kind of tell them what is being moved, where it's going. We'll need to work with the teachers, with Frank and Gordon, to make sure that we're controlling that process of what is going over there, what the personal belongings are, all of that. So it's standard process with all of these projects, but it does get a little bit challenging, and certainly more so here, given your guys' schedule.
Does the company, would they provide containers that were?
They do, absolutely, yeah. So I think the thing there is that we really need need to just make sure we work out all the details. They'll do whatever you want. You just need to write the RFP up and they can do things on the fly. But, you know, as organized and detailed as you can be off the bat, the better off you are. We'll utilize, you know, break time or whatever to bring them out, have them get a feel for the building, whoever does get, whoever we hire, to make sure that their plan is a quick one. That's not going to take, you know, a few days here. We don't have the time. That stuff needs to get out of there and we need to turn it over to Fontaine as quickly as possible. So, yeah, that's kind of the finding out the what and the how and all of that right now. And then we just need to write it up, which will help you out with, we think this fall is a good time for that, but, we don't want to lose focus on it.
So this was a conversation, right, to start, and to have you guys start thinking about that next year at this time, we're gonna be,
Right.
right to the wall. So we need to look at whatever we can get at an earlier time, kind of helps everybody, and if we can help in any way, whether it's containers or moving, whatever it is, we're here to do that,
Right, and
together with this.
we talked about, and we've done it in different capacities and different projects, everything has its own little, different stuff, quirky stuff. So, but for this, Tom, I know you were on vacation and we didn't want to inundate you with stuff when you got back, but we just want to find out kind of what the formal process is from the town in terms of getting rid of things, disposing things. Obviously, if there is a need for reuse within the district, that's what we start with, and then we figure out how to do that. Beyond that, though, what are the legalities in terms of, how we need to advertise these kind of things? All of it is very doable, even with our timeline here, with our schedule. Obviously, it limits us in terms of, being able to, for the sake of an auction or something in the past, in the perfect scenario, you can showcase the building and all of the stuff in it. If you've got the other school in a place where, you can get the kids in, all that. We don't have that luxury here. We need to put the parking lot here immediately after they get out. So there are other avenues. There's a virtual component that you can basically have like a showcase room where they get photos and they document everything that way. And if it's, I don't know, we can talk about what we realistically expect for a turnout for that. But in terms of, satisfying requirements, we're able to do that and maybe, offer whoever does purchase items a brief window of time right before the kids get out. I think that weekend, I think the last day right now was the 12th or something. I think it was like a Tuesday. So we would utilize whatever, take a look at that last week and figure out when it makes sense to have people come in and get those items. But that would be kind of our strategy if it went that route. But again, these are conversations we're going to have many times, and just letting you know what's kind of in store.
As you start going through that and you think you're going to sell things and make money on it, remember if something you think it's $1,000, someone's going to offer you $500 and it costs you $700 to move it to where you need to go. So you just together, you know what I mean?
We would be more realistic because procurement would depend on value.
Right,
And
exactly.
If it's under a certain amount, we can just do whatever we want with it, right? I mean, not within the law, of course.
No, of course.
I think the strategy is to not fill up as many dumpsters as possible. So anything of value, even if it's not, we don't get a lot of money for it.
But again, remember, at the end of the day, our demo guys, anything you leave, he's taking. He owns that per his contract and take that. Anything you want, you take and you take. But
And would that turn potentially into recycling? So say we left a bunch of desks, they might come in and get rid of them.
so they'll take, then the metal will go to the metal, but of course, when it gets to books and it gets to some of the other cases, they'll crush them all up and go see, and they'll go as disposal.
Okay.
But if you can separate, he'll separate the seal, he'll separate the copper, all that kind of stuff will get separated, the brick, the foundation, depending if it's how much mastic it is, that'll go to a plant,
There's a recycling component.
Yeah.
To Mark's point, from a material standpoint, but it's sometimes, like in a perfect world, like I was talking about before, we've had like donation companies, reuse companies come in and actually recycle it to other, districts or maybe other countries that are in need of it more. The concern there, as we talked about in the meeting, was just, the schedule here, what that takes in order for them to actually get useful information and turn that around and stage the stuff. They need weeks for that. And it's an impressive process when you're able to do so. I just don't think that we don't have the ability to do so.
But Ben, you're comfortable with when we do the walkthrough that you'll have a general idea of what we might be able to sell, scrap, toss, right? In general.
We'll have ideas, recommendations for you folks, but we're certainly looking for overall, your
Right, but to Mark's point, if there's no value in it, it's going to cost us more to.
Yeah. For those kind of things, for sure. But if you know about things in the district, we're talking about cafeteria table.
Yeah, no, that, yeah.
If you know of something that's going on and, that
I think-
kind of stuff.
Birchland's already looking at cafeteria table
So if those
Go to all those schools before we even get to that point, yeah.
desks that are usable. I think the big question will be how we do a photo inventory And if we can do that in some kind of virtual auction, then we'll have an idea if anybody's even interested in it. But anything that we can claim within the district or in the town, I think we'll do that first.
Absolutely.
I don't need much town side.
I have offered,
Put it.
I've offered desks before and people come look at them, and go,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm good."
Yeah, I mean,
I do want to just say,
a lot of things that are of value that would be coming into the new school.
Yes, no, so we're gonna salvage certain things that the moving company, is that what you're asking?
Well, I guess my question is if we're doing an inventory now of the
Yeah.
existing school.
Yeah.
Has any of that stuff been, I don't want to jump the agenda, but being factored into the current FF&E
So that's-
plan?
yeah, and that's what the conversations we're having with Frank as well, and we'll need to bring that full circle because some of those things are in the equipment list and we're taking go ahead, Frank.
A much harder look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Frank said.
Yeah.
Sharpen your
Yeah,
eyes.
so initial guidance was to assume you're getting everything new.
Yes.
And as our costs ballooned, right? Now it's like, well, let's go back and look to see what we can potentially salvage. So we are taking a much harder look at that because there's certain equipment
You're
that,
grading things on a curve now, Frank?
well, there's certain equipment that we purchased in the last 10 years, which yes, would be nice to upgrade, but it works perfectly fine now. You know what I mean? Like the microscopes that we purchased in 2017. There's also certain equipment that dates back to the founding of the building, you know, so,
Still working.
yeah.
Yeah, they don't build them like that anymore.
Yeah. So
Filter room in the pool, still working.
kind of technically.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that definitely make sense to bring with us, like it'd be a nice to have upgrade, but it's not a need to have.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's kind of what we're evaluating now is where on the scale do some of those nice
The
to have
scale has moved a little bit.
necessities. Yeah, it's definitely moved. You know, so
Yeah, I'm certainly not suggesting that we take outdated substandard
Yeah.
thing and put them in a brand new
Yes.
school. I'm just saying if there's rectangle things that we don't need to buy.
I think it's being like things like equipment, like science lab, things that are equipment based more so than like tables, chairs, so, you know, a lot of this stuff is that kind of stuff. So we'll be able to quickly, I think, designate that for disposal unless somebody, sounds like Birchland, all the other schools are
Okay.
on that.
Birchland's the most logical because most of this furniture is not conducive for elementary use.
Sense, yeah.
people.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so
So I think
they've been
walk
over,
through all these conversations are good ones and we need to discuss more. Gordon, you and I talked about your availability, I think 2 weeks from now. So I'll get an email out to the group and we can pinpoint a day. Be fun.
ninth
And
grade
the beer.
presentation day would be good, right, Frank?
Good to me. Let's do it.
So that was it for me, unless there are questions on any of those updates. I'll turn it over to these lovely folks.
All right.
Mark as well. That was a compliment, Mark.
Oh, is that what it was?
Okay, so let me get back to the beginning of this. Don't look, you'll get dizzy.
Okay, so procurement, we have bought almost all of the package. There's a couple of small ones that we're still working on. Which the list is up there. I'm gonna send the letter of recommendation for the kilns, probably tomorrow at this point. We're working through shades, rigging, lockers, signage, and acoustical components, just to make sure that the scope we're buying matches what's on the drawings.
So
Polished concrete.
Yeah.
Awesome. So brief overall of what we're doing and where we're at. And you see, we started paving today, Frank. So the site is going forward. So we're paving today and tomorrow we'll start curb. Also tomorrow, and we'll look at like next week sometime. I'll take.
You'll start the curbs tomorrow.
We'll start curb tomorrow, paving today, paving tomorrow, put about 700 ton down today, about 1,200 ton down tomorrow. So we'll get that parking lot paved out to Maple Street. We'll start curb tomorrow on the north side. Then we'll start defining the islands. Light pole bases will be in, light poles will not be in, but again, the lights themselves will not be live until we get the gear, because that's fed from the building. So we're gonna have the lights that we have temporary poles up, and we're gonna work on more lighting out there for you to make sure we have enough lighting for your, things at night and through the winter.
Yeah.
So as that works through, we will, like I said, you will see light poles start to show up this fall, but they won't be powered. I'm trying to figure out another way to power them out of another service, but I'm not sure we can do that yet. But right now, that is service at the end of the day from the main building. So they'll be in there because the light pole bases will be in, the curbing will be in. Our goal, like we had in that meeting, is we're gonna sod and seed the island areas for now. We're gonna wait till we get the correct plants in the spring and then start to plant all the extra trees that go on those islands and all. So that's what those will look like at the end of the day. We'll start putting our fence up next week to separate us again. It'll go around by the concession building. We'll open up the stadium. We'll kind of close off. The loop will be getting paved tomorrow also. So at some point, maybe sometimes next week, we will, if you want to use that, whether it's parent or buses, however you want to do it. If you want to get a bus there, we can do a trial run, see what best works for you. And we can work that out the next week and a half to make sure you're comfortable before you send any letters out to the parents of what they're going to do and what they're going to expect when they come back. And we're going to start working on sidewalks also by the end of next week. We'll start working on sidewalks off of Maple and some areas in the area we can do. The tennis court will start regrading probably, I would say, not till the end of next week or so. We'll try working in that area. We'll kind of block ourselves off and kind of do that area as we open up the parking lot. And then what we will talk about when Kevin comes back, or even before Kevin's come back, is how we need to access the field starting on the 15th. Is it just football? Is it other sports also?
Football starts the 15th. The
So,
rest of the sports start the following week.
okay.
All that first.
So it's only football that first week. We can look at, and I can talk to St. Michael's and maybe what we can do is we're still working in that corner. I can have access in the corner parking at St. Michael's. I can move the fence. They can access the field to use the turf for that starting on the 15th.
That one day.
Just for that little bit, even for that 1 week for the football, why we kind of open more up, because I want to finish the curbs and everything else.
15th is a Friday. And
Oh, is it a Friday?
Yeah. And so
Oh, Monday. Everybody comes?
Monday, all sports start.
So if you can get us a schedule, when Kevin has what the field's use is, we'll figure that part out. It might be parking in the church for a little bit and give you access on the other side, just so we can kind of make sure that parking lot, the curbing's done, it's cleaned up. We got that loom going, we got everything going.
I'm going to text Kev right now and ask him.
Have him to send me a schedule, and then you and I will keep talking as we get further, but as we see, that'll all be pretty much good for you to go on the beginning. When we start the line striping, I think we have scheduled for the 18th, I think, so the 18th. Yeah, we have the line striping, the parking lot scheduled for the 18th. So all that'll kind of fall into place hopefully for you as we move forward. And then we'll talk about, take a wide ride out there, look at it again before you send your letters to your parents. As far as the building's concerned, we are, you can go to some of the aerial views, maybe Gordon, you can see a little better, maybe our drones. I don't know if we had, yeah, so we look at this right here. So this was taken about a month ago. Right now, as you look, you can see D&E and the C-spine, all the roofs are on those three buildings. And then building A, the auditorium, the lower section is on, and we've started the middle section and the upper section as far as roofing. The sheathing is pretty much wrapped all the way around onto the north of A, so we're kind of going clockwise around the building. You can see the gym is also done clockwise around the building. And if you've seen it now, we're actually doing the AVB in the building also. So now we're putting the AVB in the building, and the mason is here on site. We have granite on site. We're starting brick ties. We're starting insulation. So that granite will actually start by early part of next week. Brick is still scheduled to come at the end of August. So we'll start working the facade. Windows are scheduled for the beginning of October. So as we work ourselves clockwise from the loading, knocking around the building, each trade will kind of follow each other and keep going around. And as you look here, as you go through there, like I said, we're on the north side of A. We actually started going on the north side of B and returning back on the pool side of the building and kind of closing in the building. So within another couple of weeks, the building will pretty much be closed in, except for the loading dock area, which we're still working in the kitchen. Pool itself is done, formed, shotcreted. I don't know if you can see a picture on that. The gutters just actually showed up for the pool. So we'll actually start installing the gutters, and the welders, actually, there's the gutters right there. The welder will be on site next week. We'll actually start welding the gutter in the pool. We've started the underground around the backside. The pool is about 3/4 backfilled right now, and we're working on the plumbing in that area now. The backside, which is the east side of the building, we've done the footing today. We'll start the wall. So by the end of next week, probably beginning of the following week, that wall will be done and installed. And we'll start bringing up all that grade around the pool, will be all graded, and we'll be working at the plumbing and the drainage around the pool as we work our way through that. That right now I have the block work scheduled around from the beginning of October into September. So in that meantime, we got to look at gutter, we got to look at trench drain, we got to look at all the plumbing. There's timing for the lights. There's a lot that goes in that slab, pouring that slab and getting ready for the mason in that area there.
Are you gonna try to finish or have the pool weather tight?
Yes. So,
Or something?
yeah, we're hoping that we're setting steel and roof on by then, right? So the plan is to start the mason around the beginning of October, hopefully last week in September, start them on all the block bearing walls and then just get that going from there to try to
Worry
make
about
that.
frost protection.
Yep, all that stuff. Yep. So I'm trying to work on all that. So trying to finish around the pool, John, get the slab poured, get the trench drain. The trench drain is actually in now for the plumber that just showed up at the shop. So they have that. So all the parts and pieces I have is just putting it together. And as we keep going around, we're looking at inside the building, the only that's not poured as far as the kitchen. We're working on the kitchen underground right now. I have probably about 2 weeks left to kind of do freezer coolers and finish the underground in that area. And we got a small area in the C-spine that connects everything together. And then from there, we have the auditorium left to pour. And as you can look at some of these pictures here, we are framing inside frantically. We got D and E, both first and second floor of D, and then first floor of E is pretty much framed. Still waiting on some door frames, but the electrician is wiring. We got MEPs going. MEPs done on first floor of D, first floor of D, first floor of D, first floor of E, and second floor of D, and he's on E2. So he'll, by the end of next week, he'll have all his refrigeration piping done, tested, and we're actually wrapping it as we speak. Drywall is showing up probably mid to end next week, probably mid next week. We're gonna start loading the building with some drywall, and we're hoping to go start drywalling D1 by some of the areas inside the rooms by the end of next week, by the beginning of the following week, to start doing some of the areas there. Roof is all on in that area. We're starting to put protections in the windows to keep any type of the weather out. And as we move our stuff through that area there, we're gonna, again, work ourselves clockwise around the building. So as we finish A, the fireproof will hopefully be starting next week with fireproofing A, and then the trades are following right behind them as we work our way around the building. That's about it, really. Not much going on.
I wish you knew the job a little better.
Kevin just sent us.
View of the whole site.
Okay, perfect. We'll look at that and then you and I can talk. We'll figure that out. So, yeah, that's quick synopsis there, Gordon.
Excellent. Thank you. I think we're moving then to the architect's update and FF&E process.
Great. Is it okay if I share screen, Gordon?
Please.
Okay. So you have a lot of folks online from JWA today, and I'm starting to feel like when I come to these meetings, I'm primarily presenting on FF&E, and you forget that I'm actually sort of out there. We're out there working on the whole building, but I know FF&E is the evolving design element still. So to start with, I just want to give a quick update and acknowledge that, you see on screen here, Katie Craig in the foreground of these shots in the colorful shirt. And then you have Abby from Stafora and Leanne from Stafora in these photos. So that's the team that actually is doing the hard lifting on the furniture. So when we last met with you, we were talking about what we needed to do. We had lock off on the furniture procurement goals. We needed to finalize colors, manufacturers, fabrics, everything like that. So what that involves is we go to Stafora's offices in Boston, and I'm not sure if you can see, are you all seeing my screen or not?
Yes.
Okay, right, great. So so we go there and we spend a solid 8 hours, Katie and I working with Stafora to pick all the fabrics and all the colors for all the finish elements of the furniture itself, so that can go into the procurement process. So they now are turning that into another presentation that will be presented to the subcommittee, which is department heads, Gordon, Frank, Pam. I think that's pretty much it, who will just be sure they've taken a look at everything that's going into that package before it goes out on the street. So while that process is underway, we're going to be meeting within the next month to show that to them, and then we'll bring back and show you all the final results of that furniture process, just so you get a feel for it. But that'll be out the door. In the meantime, as Frank mentioned, he's got his staff marking salvage on anything large and worth keeping that it can move to the new building. And that's helping us to kind of bring that equipment list budget into a little bit better shape, so that can also go into procurement. And again, those documents will be ready in the fall so that we can have procurement process for FF&E underway in the winter. Moving forward, I just want to touch base because there's some things, what we wanted to talk a little bit about are the finishes for the pool today. It's been tricky having two committees and one ultimate building. So we have to be sure that what happens in the two buildings aligns. So in our design, we've got the same finishes in the athletic wing of the school. So as Mark keeps talking about, that's, A, B, C, D, E. So B is the athletic wing. That's where the gym is and the locker rooms. And remember, originally our design was that we'd have sort of a certain look in each of these wings so that navigationally you know where you are. And the B wing is the wing in which we have our true Spartan reds and grays. And then attached to that, we have the pool building. And we wanted people to be able to come into this door between the two and choose which way they're going and kind of understand that they're seeing they're getting into the school, they're getting into the athletic and the sort of Spartan area of it. You guys gave us a name, Redstone Quarry Natatorium. And in a previous meeting, remember, we talked about the idea that we wanted to communicate why that was. So we put in the drawings placeholder for signage. And today I wanted to just talk a little bit about that placeholder signage and show you a concept so that we can evolve that and get your input on it. And at the same time, show you some of the finishes in the pool, because as we're making these decisions during the submittal process and determining colors, we want to be sure that we don't drift. And we're showing the pool committee some of that information, but you guys haven't actually sort of gotten involved in the specific material choices that we've been making. So I want to be sure that you see it too, and we keep these two projects aligned. So that's, again, entry from the exterior. You've seen that before. This is our concept here. What we want to be sure we can do is communicate to people that there's a gym to the right and a natatorium to the left. And this is just concept. Once you say yes to how we approach it, we've got two different ways we want to look at it. The general approach here, and you're never going to see lighting in our renders because of various complicated reasons, but forgetting the ceiling plane for a second, the general look here, and we'll get into the specific materials, is that we have a porcelain ceramic tile. It's a 2x2 tile on the ground. We have ground face block. It's a very light colored block. And then we have this directional signage that we want to explore that sends you either direction. We happen to have columns because this is a structurally separated building. And what we want to do is just give you a feel for how big that vestibule is. So turning in this angle, this is the passage out. This is a passage into the locker rooms down at that end. This would be the entry towards the pool. This is the window where the management office communicates with you to let you into the pool, right? And where you go from there. So in materials, this is on the left hand, you see the feel of that ground face block and that porcelain tile at the bottom. We have a little bit of accent of a light blue tile wall at the water fountain behind a bench. That shows up again later in the bathrooms in the locker room area. And then the idea again is that we have two presentations. I'll show you in just a little bit more detail about this idea of trying to convey why it's called the Redstone Quarry Natatorium. So this is just to give you a general idea that you're going to see that wall right away. And we wanted to be sure we kind of communicated that. What we're doing with the red in general in signage, it shows up heavily in signage. Red is a tricky color. It's the hardest of colors. So you're going to get some very true reds sometimes. As we mentioned a long time ago, the building as a whole would be kind of overwhelming if it was a lot of red everywhere. So instead, we tend to have the backgrounds be calmer and use the red for that kind of punchy quality in signage and some of the furniture. And in this wing particularly, we're using it on furniture and in the athletic scope. So moving forward from here, if you're in this area, then you would go into the pool. And in the pool, you get hit with a lot of red. Since our earlier renderings, we've kind of punched this up a little bit because the pool committee really wanted that red to read. So rather than kind of we had a calmer maroon around, but they wanted something stronger to match the pennants. So we're calling for a real red in the tile, and then this is a gray base on the deck. This is a fiberglass door. It's red that leads you back to the locker room. This is stuff that we're bringing over, plus the speed signage and the pennant. So all of that kind of holds together, and then you have the same light ground face block and then an accent band of ground face block. And then this is what's changed. Originally, we had in the drawings that we showed you a long time ago, a glazed block that was redder. Glazed block is impossible to get now because of fabrication problems around the country. It's almost impossible to get 3 equals on glazed block. So we switched to a ground face block here. And actually, one of the change orders we've been processing is what it came through was very pale, and we wanted to be sure that it read strongly. So we're actually doing that as a polished ground face to be sure it's strong. And it looks like this, but it keeps, in my opinion, I think it works because even though it's not a true red, like a painted red, it actually kind of relates to that kind of quarry feel that we have elsewhere. It feels natural and stony. So I don't have any problem with it, but that's one thing that we had addressed and dealt with. We haven't seen the submittals on the seating yet, so we haven't decided whether that should be red or gray. It starts to get to be a little bit too much red, maybe, but that's just a thought as to whether you guys have any opinions as to whether the bleachers should go to a gray material or just stay. This is an aluminum bleacher system. It could be red, it could be gray. We're open to your input on that one. And then into the locker rooms, we also haven't seen the locker submittals yet, so this is just concept. But the idea was to mix red and gray lockers, this is a painted CMU in the locker area, and this is a speckled pattern is epoxy resin flooring. And then you get a little bit of that blue accent in the shower rooms. And then back out to the signage. On the signage, we have just 2 approaches that we've been exploring. One is you walk in and you see all of that in one complete wall. So what we wanted to do is help direct people to the gym and the auditorium and distinguish the 2. But we also wanted to explain this concept. So we wanted to put a historical sign in, and this is just a concept. The text for it, we need your help figuring out who should write it and what should be on it. But in this version, we have all of this together in that one wall right when you come in. So as you approach, it's right here at the doorway into the gymnasium side towards the school. And the second option would be to split that apart. We're thinking leave that as it is and put that interpretive signage across from the bench. And it's at reading height, and it essentially would be, stand off from that ground face block wall, and we'd have some of that history and provide some photographs and basically give a little bit of history here. And this I brought up intentionally with Greg in the room because this is something that he'd been sort of eager to see us do. And I want to be sure that we're kind of hitting the general direction of what you want to do here with this. Because some of this, we have to put more details out. We had some placeholder in the documents, but there is a little bit more work that has to happen here with the signage company. There may be a little bit of an ad depending on how extensive we get, but not a big deal for a scope of project this size. So.
I love it, Dory. It's great.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, I would combine the 2. I think your first design is right on the money because someone's going to come in, look at the big picture, look for a little more detail. Yeah.
Yeah, so stick with that idea.
And it sends people on their way. I think it does so many things with one wall.
Great. And do you have thoughts as to how we should develop the content for this? That's not, really our specialty as architects.
Historical Commission.
Historical Commission.
Yeah. Do you have something you've started out, Dory, or nothing yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have what you can see in these signs, and I'd say we put this together to give you a sense of the scale of what we can do here. So we have about a 4-paragraph block.
Okay.
And then these are fairly sizable photographs, and then there's a background photograph, and so that just gives you some sense of the area. So we can give you this, or give somebody, or at the Historic Commission, this information and a word count, perhaps something like that, and ask for them to develop some content.
To me and Gordon, Tom, and maybe Jamie too, because she had an idea over there, please. And then we'll get it back to you.
Okay. And then on photographs, we've been basically pulling what we could from local archives. So we'll send you what we've got, but if they've got better, or if you want to weigh in on that, that would be helpful as well.
I think that big one you have is fantastic. I mean, that
Yeah, I really
shows
like
the
that.
history right there. I think the not current use, but the later use as a swimming hole is relevant as well. I think that's a great picture. So the historical commission again may have some others, so we'll ask them. But I would definitely include those two.
Okay. All right. And then I'll give you some schedule goals for how quickly we need some input. So as well. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments on that? Anything?
The gray bleachers I would pick over the red. Just I think to your point, too much red is too much red. But
Yeah.
that's just my thought.
Appreciate it. Greg, you're always a go-to on finish choices, in my opinion.
Hey, I like design. No, great
Okay.
job, Laura. I think that really pulled it all together. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank our team. That's all we have. That's all the other signage you all have seen in previous packages. This is the only one that was outstanding.
Do we have anything on lead sustainability?
Oh, sorry. Just generally, it's actually going super well. So at this point in the project, our lead consultant regularly meets with Fontaine's team. Fontaine has a regular checklist of measuring quantities of various materials that we have to monitor, and they regularly check in and check all of our point spread to be sure that we're above the goal that we'd set for ourselves, and we are well above and doing really well on our lead goals, which is great. On the energy goals, I think I reported at the last meeting on this, but our energy model is now been shared with Mass Save and our 100% construction documents and the verification of where we're heading on our EUI. Remember, that was a determining factor for a rebate, an incentive, financial incentive from Mass Save, and their comments were like, this project looks great, so we got very positive comments just today from them, and we are still on target for that as well. So that's all going well.
Did the solar help us on that, Dory?
I haven't gotten the details on it will for the incentive for sure. Mainly also because it allows our site EUI to be lower than it might have been. So that was good.
Okay.
We've spent a lot of time working with Skanska and Fontaine on planning for the testing of the building when it's done, because that's got a huge factor. So how much air leaks in and out of the building impacts that ultimate EUI level, which is why we've been on this project real sticklers for being sure that we are testing the air vapor barrier and testing at the time that the building's all closed to be sure that infiltration rate is as designed or better, so that we can kind of be sure that we don't end up in a challenge with that Mass Save incentive at the end of the game.
Dory, just going back to the natatorium, is there a way we could actually get some either brownstone or actual redstone in the wall somewhere so someone could touch it texturally?
Maybe on the outside, probably not in the natatorium.
Or outside? I don't know. Are we using it anywhere? Do you know?
Oh, that's a good question. Right, you did. Well, I mean, we have it somewhat engaged, but like in terms of remember the challenge, we have things out on the exterior sign that are going to look and feel like brownstone, but they're not. They're cast. We would need you to bring us, like we'd need the actual brownstone material to work with, which I've actually looked around for these cores and still can't find them. So you guys need to send me a map someday.
Oh, bring you a tour, Dory. We'll show you. Well, yeah. Come for a visit sometime. But I'm just thinking in that pool area, you know how kids are. They're textural. So if we could put a low piece of brown or redstone, then they would understand what we're talking about and that this comes out of the ground and this is how we built buildings out of, we could list some of a lot of the buildings in New York City have been built using East Longmeadow redstone and brownstone. So things of that nature. Just a thought.
Yeah. I mean, what would be kind of, interesting would be to work it into that wall that you're looking at one of the bands of the CMU, but we have to figure out a way to find some scaled CMU that we could swap in.
Bruce, you're lying around up at the yard, do you?
I have a few pieces. I could acquire some if we need to. And I think Dory's idea of incorporating that, maybe the backing of the sign or somewhere into that wall, would maybe a better fit as well.
Another idea, just a simple one. In our plan, let me see if I could show you this. So we have a bench location. So I don't know how big those are, but I've seen some pretty large chunks up in Northampton, where we did a building with some brownstone, like very large. So we have a location for a bench in this lobby. We could swap the bench out with a bench size piece of brownstone.
Dory, are you sharing something or sharing your screen or
I'm
no?
sharing my thoughts mainly, but I can't.
Okay.
But for example,
Bench.
Yeah.
so here's this bench. You can see it in this render, right? So I wouldn't want to put a stone out in this area because it's trippable. You'll be in everybody's way. But the thought is we could replace this bench with something sizable, which would be more interesting than just having a small piece of brownstone.
Or what if we replace one of those boulders in the picture with a real piece of redstone? Like right there.
Or put it, or hunk it in, like if you have a carved hunk. This is a nice recession area.
Hunk it in.
I think we could probably, let me see, let me show you like, so here you're looking down. So this is a, 4x4 column. So the idea you're saying, would you be kind of putting something in this area or?
Yeah, cut whatever piece we get that fits into that, we cut it out of that picture and put it right into place.
Mount it.
Know exactly what we're talking about.
Come on over, we'll take care of that.
Yeah.
You got it. Mark's got it.
Out on the grass.
You got the idea there, Mark? Because I'm going to come to you and we want to figure out how to mount this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea guy. I don't have anything else. So
Yeah.
anyway, we can work on it. Dory, thank you.
All right. Yeah, we'll work with something if you can find us something.
Bruce, you had a couple. You might be able to send Dory some pictures or something in sizes.
Bruce, do you have a slate?
No. I have a few pieces up at the transfer station, but that's gonna obviously require cutting, which we can get into, but
Fine, just cut it as a bench top.
yeah, I know somebody that has a bunch of pieces, and those probably be even easier to cut. I have to see what he has too, because I think the bench is a great idea as well.
Cut it as a bench top.
The only thing I don't know, Dory, is the obviously how hard redstone is. Do we want a solid piece?
Shale.
The thickness of the top of the bench, what that needs to be. We don't want people sitting on it and it breaks in half as well.
Right.
So let me do some research.
Okay. Yeah, if you get to where you got something you want us to think about or look at together, maybe a couple of us can come take a look at it and brainstorm with it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, great. Thank you. Great idea. Always raising the bar on me, Greg.
That's what I'm here for, Dory. And thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, so that brings us to new business.
Sorry, Gordon. Just a quick question, Dory. What size is that bench? Exactly. 6 feet?
I'll send you dimensions on it based on that location. And also what I'll do is I'll send you some logical kind of general dimensions on the other one. So if we did a vertical piece or a piece near the sign, how that might fit as well. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Great.
Thank you, Dory. Thank you, Bruce. Moving into new business, we're gonna need we just have something? No? Okay. We're gonna need a September school building committee meeting?
Yes, I was thinking either the 18th, if we're getting back to our Thursday routine, or the 25th.
Let's see.
Fine with either.
Yeah, 18th looks good. How does 18th look online for folks? Or the 25th?
What's the day again?
Thursday, the 18th or Thursday, the 25th?
25th is open house.
Okay, so 18th. How's the 18th look for everybody?
That's good for me, Gordon.
Okay,
3:00.
3 o'clock again, is it?
we can do 3 o'clock. Yeah, that works for people. All right, so
That's September?
September 18th at 3 o'clock.
Thank you.
Bring your brownstone
Or Redstone.
or redstone. Okay. If there's no other new business, we can move to adjourning.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, so we have a motion. Any seconds?
Second.
Okay. Christensen moved. Mr. Thompson second. Quick roll call. I'm a yes. Mr. Page? Ms. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Fenny?
Yes.
Ms. LeBar? Still with us? Oh, she may have dropped off. Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Christensen? Yes. Collins? Drop off?
She's there.
You said yes.
Got a yes? I think the yeses have it. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
The 18th.